Hey everyone, this is Ketchup here. Now, the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection has been out for a couple of weeks at this point. There's been a few hotfixes and some patches here and there. The game is far from perfect, especially if you're on PlayStation 5. However, today's video is all about teaching people the basics of Mortal Kombat Trilogy. What inspired this really was that since the collection's launched, I have had people ask me, right, I want to learn these games, I have no idea what I'm doing, and I need to start from layer 1. That is what today's video is all about. I want to go over the basics of the game, what the buttons do, special moves, combo strings, how to approach the sort of rushdown of the game and all that good stuff. Hopefully it's enough to help you out. And if you like this, please let me know if you want me to do this for more games. That's the intro out of the way, to be honest, because without further ado, let's take a beginner's look at Mortal Kombat Trilogy, my personal favorite. So the very first thing I suggest you do when you're playing one of these games for the first time is you go into your options menu, you go into controls, and the first thing I suggest you do is you essentially rebind your controls so block is on your right triggers and your run is on your left. So for example, I have block as RB and run as LB. I'm playing as with the Xbox Series X controller. A lot of these older games, they have the buttons swapped around, so it just makes life easier to go with the, I would say, intended direction that a lot of people use, which is run on L and then block on R. So that's the first thing I suggest. It feels a bit weird otherwise, to be honest with you, especially when you look at modern games where block is always on the R1, R2, whatever it is that you're using, right? Just make sure that you replicate that the best you can. So, now we've got the basic controls out of the way, what are the buttons? You have high punch, low punch, high kick, low kick, block, and run. That is the absolute basic. High punch and low punch serve different purposes in a game like this, and so do the two different kicks. The first thing that you really want to look at is the range of these buttons. Holding a direction and doing certain inputs will do different moves. For example, holding back and high kick will execute a roundhouse, which can be used as an anti-air, it can be used as a combo tool in certain instances, and it's very fast, especially on the male ninjas. Holding back and pressing low kick executes a sweep. The sweep's really good because on hit, the sweep allows you to kind of run in and establish some kind of pressure. So if you throw out a sweep on block, you're generally safe at far ranges, although some characters can punish you, although it's very hard to do so. The sweep is just a really nice check that puts you low to the ground. So it's, you know, it's a good option to throw out against the opponent in that neutral game when you are, as they say, sweep distance, aka this distance. So that really, really helps you. And the final one is holding down and doing high punch will execute an uppercut. Uppercut can be used as an anti-air if it comes out early enough on a telegraphed jump in. But the uppercut is just really good for certain combos. It's just a really nice chunk of damage outright. So if you're new and you're looking for just some sort of button to throw out, if someone's doing like an early jump in or something, uppercut is just a nice way of ending that. So these are the moves: high punch, low punch, high kick, low kick. You can execute a roundhouse, a sweep, an uppercut. These are the basic buttons. Now where you go from here, the first thing I want to teach you is a technique that allows you to shorten the recovery of these. Getting into what all of the buttons do individually opens up the first technique that's really important to learn. Now, you don't have to master this immediately, I'm just mentioning it because we're talking about buttons. If you look at the recovery of high punches or low punches, I'm kind of doing them individually as fast as I can without mashing them and just getting the chain, right? This is the speed. If you, the moment you press a button, execute another button immediately, you can shorten the recovery. For example, the way I do it is, if I do a high punch, I simply roll my thumb over to high kick. So I press high punch, and then as I'm about to like finish pressing it, I'm rolling my thumb over to the button next to it. By doing so, you shorten the recovery of these buttons significantly. And this applies to low punch as well. If you look at my command history, it's one button after the other, done very, very quickly. This technique is really useful in combos and run jab pressure, but I'll be elaborating on it later. I just wanted to show the basic for now, but for now, let's now talk about combo strings. Combo strings are the next part of this tutorial, and if you go to on-screen move list, it was added that you can now put combos in there. So if you look at the screen on the left-hand side, you will notice we now have different combos. So on the top left, I've got 3 different combo strings that I can execute. One of them is high punch, up, low punch. And to execute combo strings, by the way, you must be point blank to the opponent. If I'm slightly far away, I will still get high punch and low punch on its own. If I'm point blank, that high punch will now become a combo starter. So range is really, really important for this. So let me just list the Scorpion ones. High punch, up, low punch. High kick, low kick. And then finally, high punch, high kick, back high kick. Shout out to Dan Forden again. So the combo strings are really simple. Some of them can be quite long. It's rarely distributed though, the longer combo strings like a Shiva or a Jax or someone else. I'm using Scorpion because he is very much a sort of well-rounded character in Trilogy. So I recommend that you kind of pick Scorpion and do this alongside me if you're learning the game. But combo strings are good in a whole number of ways. I mean, if you're pressuring someone and you land a combo string, it's just really nice to just have this extra option. They do pretty decent damage anyway. One thing to note is that when you're jumping with either jump punch or jump kick, neutral jump kick I should say, if you do a diagonal jump punch, you can actually jail your jump in into a combo string. So if I jump in with high punch, you'll notice I get an extra first hit because I'm doing the jump first. If I do it with jump kick, the opponent will just hit the floor. But if I do neutral jump kick, which is this, right, where Scorpion's doing this sort of big kick, he can now jail it as well. But it has to be a neutral jump kick. So doing a jump attack into a combo string, this is something that's worth learning as well. The input is very simple. You essentially just wait for your jump in to connect, or you do your jump in sort of as you're about to hit the ground, and you treat it as kind of the first hit of the combo string. So instead of it being high kick, low kick, it's jump, and then you input the whole thing. So the kind of timing can be a bit weird at first if you're not familiar, but it's very important to learn, and just going into combo strings from your jump in is just a very, very big part of the game. So executing combo strings, very simple stuff for Scorpion. Next, let's talk about how to do special moves. Special moves are important in every single fighting game that has them. They enable you to start combos, they enable you to get more damage. It's all a ticket to just essentially doing more damage in the game through a variety of different means. Now once again, we're sticking with Scorpion here, and if you look at the left-hand side of your screen, you will notice that all of my special moves are listed. So, for example, back low punch is the spear. Down back high punch is the teleport. Scorpion in Trilogy was given a second teleport, which is the down forward high punch. Interestingly here, Scorpion is able to essentially do them both back to back because they have their separate, I don't know if cooldowns is the right word to use, but that's essentially what it is. So you can combine both of them, and that will work out for combos that I'll show you in a moment. Finally, block in the air executes an air throw for Scorpion, which again can be used for mostly just catching people in the air. He's not really able to combo into it as much as maybe a human smoke for reasons that I'll describe later. But using all of your special moves together is essentially, the reason it's so strong is because they serve different utility. So, for example, Scorpion, should you land a spear, that's just going to be a full combo, decent damage, just about 30% give or take just because you hit a spear. Should you land some kind of, ranged anti-air, for example, the spear can function as an anti-air if the opponent overcommits to a jump in. If you catch some sort of, let's say you've punished something that has the opponent airborne, you're able to combine multiple special moves together, and this is kind of where you want to start piecing things, one by one. Scorpion has a variety of special moves, but he's not necessarily able to use them in combos unless the circumstances are correct. So, for example, should he land like a, anti-air roundhouse, you can go for something like that. Using his double teleport, You can actually get both teleports, which allows you to get even more damage. I know this is a little bit fast and maybe a little bit too much for some of you to follow at the moment. Don't worry, again, we're going to be talking about this in ways that are a bit easier to break down with other characters. But using special moves together is how you piece together the larger combos. So I wanted to give a basic overview of how to execute these different special moves that characters have. I think the next portion that is really important is talking about how you get higher damage. You know, I've just done that, a couple of Scorpion combos there. You might be wondering, holy crap, how can I do that? Let's show you how to do it. So the next portion I want to talk about is how to piece together those larger combos that characters are able to do. I've gone in with Human Smoke because he is essentially Scorpion with more combo strings. There is a difference here in that Human Smoke does not have the forward teleport. You'll notice nothing comes out. He only has the reverse teleport, which was a thing in Ultimate MK3 with Scorpion, but they gave him a new one in this game. When you're putting combos together, if you look at the left, you'll notice Human Smoke has basically all of Scorpion's combo strings, right? With the exception of the kick string, which is now high kick, low kick, back high kick. Pretty much the exact same situation. But he also has his variety of launchers that are combos. For example, high kick, low punch. This is huge in a game like this because it launches and starts from a kick, which is really good at dealing with defensive options that I'll be covering shortly. He has a 3-hit version, which I was never good at doing and getting it to actually combo properly. That says 2 hits. It's meant to be 3, but I'm just really, really terrible with Human Smoke in these games. We'll be keeping with the high kick, low punch for now, just for simplicity. When you're piecing combos together, you essentially factor in what is known as a hit limit for a lot of people. Basically, when too many hits in a combo have been used, certain moves will no longer come out. I guess it's maybe to prevent infinites or whatever else. But, for example, a basic combo with Human Smoke is the launcher, jump kick teleport, spear, launch, jump kick, and if you get it nicely, you can air throw that as well. Very, very basic combo, decent damage, and you'll notice the jump kick teleport. If I try and do that again after my second launch, jump kick teleport, spear, jump kick teleport, it will not come out. That is because too many hits in the combo have been used, the teleport will no longer connect, so we're not able to essentially rinse and repeat the same situation. Because if hit limits weren't in the game and you could do whatever you wanted, this jump kick teleport into spear, you know, if the spear came out, again, that's another thing that suffers from hit limit. It would just be an infinite combo. So when you're piecing combos together, and a lot of combos that you see online, you essentially get the moves that you are able to perform early, and then the rest of the combo is utilizing things that the game puts no limitations on at all. Which is why a basic combo involving jump kick, teleport, spear while I can, end it in jump kick or air throw, because the air throw has no such limitations. You're starting off with what the game will let you perform, and then you're finishing the combo with essentially all that you have left. So for someone like Human Smoke, his combo game is really simple. He can land a spear, launch. Actually, you have to wait a little bit for this one. And in Trilogy, the game runs a bit faster than Ultimate MK3, so this might take a couple of tries. As you can see, because I start the combo with spear, I wait a minute. And because I used the spear early, and there hadn't been, you know, too many hits in the combo, I can actually execute a second spear. So characters like Ermac or Human Smoke or others that, if you kind of land the right hit at the right time and you keep kind of a mental track of how many attacks have been used, you're able to do interesting combos because the game is still going to let you perform those vital moves that allow you to extend. So I recommend just checking out some combo guides, some combo videos, everything online that pretty much gives you a base to start from. Every character has different special moves, different combo strings. Ultimately, watch and learn, I would say, is the best way to go. But thankfully, because the collection has a training mode, you can practice these combos to your heart's content, and you can just keep practicing until you get comfortable. So that's the basic combo game. Now, let's talk about some of the extra stuff. Next, Aggressor. Aggressor is Mortal Kombat Trilogy's unique mechanic. Now, it did used to get turned off in any sort of competitive play because there was a bug that would permanently well, it's a small chance, but it would permanently keep the aggressor damage buff onto one of the two players at random. It wasn't common, but when it happened, the only way to fix it, I think, was to turn the game off or something. Digital Eclipse did manage to fix that through a variety of safeguards, apparently. So currently, it is in the game. So by doing attacks, having the opponent block things, if you look at the bottom left of my screen, you will notice it just naturally builds up on its own. And then when it's all the way full, Aggressor will just, in its entirety, just activate. Now, Aggressor looks like a speed buff or something because you'll notice there's like a shadow effect behind me. Aggressor is nothing more than a damage upgrade for a short time. Like, that's it. There's nothing special about it. It's very much just, it's a damage buff while the Aggressor is active. That's it. There's nothing crazy. There's nothing special. You're just going to get more damage from your combos. There's genuinely nothing else to show. The more important thing to show is that when you land attacks on hit, Aggressor builds in a, very small amount. If the opponent is blocking, Aggressor builds up way quicker. And because of this game's run jab pressure, where you can constantly run and jab at the opponent and sort of, keep all your offense going, it builds Aggressor at a lightning pace. So it's something that you're going to see often in a lot of matches because it builds so quickly through block pressure, something that is key to the rushdown of the game in general. Speaking of, let's actually talk about how to rush people down, because it is so important. The offense in a game like Mortal Kombat Trilogy is so heavily tied to what is known as run jab pressure. A run jab is you do your low punch while running, and it looks like this. Doesn't look like much, but believe me when I say this is the key to how to rush people down in this game, is that when you're moving towards the opponent, run is a really big part of your aggressive game. Walking towards someone or jumping towards someone has nowhere near the same speed as simply running up to them and doing something. It could be a combo string, it could be a jab. All of it is tied to the run and an instant run, simply done by just holding the run button. I'm holding the run button this entire time, and as long as I'm able to move, I will run again. You know you're doing it because your character makes an absolute ton of noise. So running into the opponent in this neutral is a really big part of just kind of how to play the game and how to approach, running into a sweep. If you manage to get a sweep on the opponent, that's run jab time. All of it is tied to run jabs. Now the reason so is because low punch at close range executes a throw. Yeah? So if you low punch when the opponent is point blank, and they're not holding back, you throw them. If the opponent is holding back, this could be without blocking, with blocking, whatever, the opponent can't be thrown. I have the training dummy set to crouch block and hold back when taking damage. That means if I now try and do my low punch, I'm not going to throw the opponent, but there's marginal pushback, which allows me, if I'm timing it correctly, to loop this instant run into low punch pressure. The reason this is so good is because, remember I taught you about earlier, when you do your high punch or low punch, and you do a kick immediately afterwards, almost like a 2-in-1, but the punch comes first, there's way faster recovery. This, when combined with run jab pressure, becomes even more devastating. You'll notice how quick I'm able to run in and constantly loop these jabs on the opponent. It doesn't look like much, granted. I know you're probably looking at this thinking, well, why can't I just get out of that? The number one way to interrupt this kind of pressure, universally, is to do a low kick. When the opponent jabs you, some sort of low kick on defense to stop them from trying to pressure you all day long. The one thing that crushes these low kicks, universally for the most part, are kick-starting strings. A lot of the time they start with a knee. Some kind of lower attack that is better than a punch, because a lot of punches when the opponent's crouching will whiff. I'm making Johnny Cage crouch here, and you'll notice that my high punch is whiffing. If I do this, if he's crouching and I do a high kick, it will hit him. So being able to essentially crush someone that's blocking low or trying to do a low kick If my low leads to something devastating, like Ermac, all of a sudden, I've just got a very scary mix-up game of, do I just continue to pressure you with various buttons that do chip damage, pushback? In Trilogy, it builds tons of Aggressor meter. The moment they try and fight back when I'm doing my run jabs, this is where the utility of a kick string that leads to a ton of damage really starts to pay off. Because now I'm playing as a character that gets massive damage from crushing these low kick interruption attempts. And because of that, I've just become... It's a very dangerous character. If a character has these tools, they tend to be quite good. It's not the only thing that makes characters strong, but the run jab pressure that you see in every competitive match of Trilogy, Ultimate MK3, whatever... This is the absolute key to it. Now, you can't run jab forever. If you look at the top left of the screen, the green bar, that's my stamina. You can run out of stamina. So, you know, it's not a complete set thing that I'm just going to run jab the opponent forever. As soon as I run out of stamina, that will essentially end the situation. It depends on what the pushback is, what the situation is afterwards. Using a combo string, you'll notice, drains all of your stamina. This happens on block as well. The same thing applies to even a 2-hit. The second you've done a combo string, your stamina is gone, so you cannot infinitely do this. Every character, or I would say their palette, you know, the female ninjas have the same buttons, the human ninjas have the same, sorry, the male ninjas have the same buttons. Like, these buttons tend to change from character to character. Not all jabs are equal in this respect, so it definitely comes down to your character, what their options are. Ermac is a very good character because he's got decent jabs, because he's got good combo strings for crushing your defensive attempts. He's got a teleport, which allows him to instantly reposition. If he himself is being run jabbed, the instant disappearance of his teleport is a very, very good defensive move. Certain special moves will get out of that pressure better than others. Some characters don't even have those options. All they have is a low kick. So this just requires experimentation, looking at competitive footage, seeing what people are doing, and finding out what's best for you. Mortal Kombat Trilogy is different to Ultimate MK3 in one big way, that the version that we have in the Legacy Collection has extra characters. Not just characters that are pickable by default, but if you press select on certain characters, you will actually pick different generations of those characters. Kano's one, Raiden, Kung Lao, Jax. You can pick other game versions of the characters, and some of these characters are incredibly strong. One of which will be, just for the sake of demonstration, we're going to be doing Mortal Kombat 2 Kung Lao. So if you're playing Mortal Kombat Trilogy, it's not going to be a matter of just learning the fact that you have other characters to compete against, but you have different versions of those characters added on top. The MK2 Kung Lao is one of the more underrated and, in my opinion, one of the more dangerous characters in this game because of the mobility, the damage output. There are only 2 combo strings, but they're both really strong. MK2 Kung Lao has a 5-hit kick string that does 30% damage, and a launching punch string that's really easy to execute. Does 20%, 27% on its own, and on block, even on block, does a really decent chunk of chip damage. Mostly because his high punch on block just seems to do really, really good damage on its own. But due to the fact that he has a launcher on command, has really high combo damage to boot on combos that with a little bit of practice aren't the most complicated in the world. I think when you even have the right execution, I've seen Kung Lao players like loop this massively, but you need to get the high punch really high up, I think, and make the dive kick whiff multiple times, similar to Ultimate MK3 Lao. But even as a base, this character's damage is incredibly high in combination with Raiden Superman, which is weird to punish if you're not used to it. He has Kung Lao's teleport anyway. He's got a very fast projectile that you can guide. All of this just leads into MK2 Lao being a really good character. And this is just one of the small examples. I wanted to mention it in this video just to show that the difference between this and Ultimate MK3 is not only the fact that Trilogy's a little bit faster, so that's the first thing. Trilogy is a bit quicker than Ultimate MK3 frame rate wise and performance wise. There are extra characters to fight, but not only the basic extra characters like Rain, like Noob Saibot, you also have to deal with the variety, you know, the variations of characters, and MK2 Lao being one of them. And I've played a lot of Trilogy online. I haven't encountered a single person using this character yet, but when I use them, it tends to be pretty rough. I'm not going to lie. This character is incredibly strong and quite fun to play, I might add. This is a bit of a bonus for this video, but I just wanted to say, be prepared to fight versions of characters you might not be used to. Now we've covered a lot of the basics, I want to talk about some techniques. The first of which being instant air projectiles. It's really important for some characters, Kabal and Kitana in particular, that's why I've got them here. Kitana, for example, has the fan toss, forward and both punches. She can do this on the ground, she can do it in the air, she can do things like cover a jump with a fan on block, she can hit it really low to the ground, and because the fan is a really big projectile, it's very plus on block should they block it, allows her to run in and do either her kick strings or her jabs, of which the female ninjas have really good run jab pressure. Doing these projectiles instantly off the ground is a must if you're going to play someone like Kitana at a high level. The way I do it, which is still pretty tricky to time for me, I'm not going to lie, I don't really play these characters like massively extensively, is to do the forward both punches, and then immediately when I press the button, I try and just roll up as fast as I can. I don't play these characters enough to get this anywhere near 100% consistent, but it's really important. Unfortunately, if you don't manage to get it, you do the ground version, which is far inferior. But should you land the instant air version, you'll notice how quickly Kitana is able to run in and follow the fan. So if I'm even at this range, boom, I'm in there, point blank, and then from there, Kitana can start her rushdown game. Instant air projectiles are huge for that kind of thing, and something I would recommend if you want to learn Kitana and you've got comfortable with the basics, start practicing that. The same thing applies to Kabal. Instant air projectile on his gas blast. Again, something that I'm not very good at doing historically. But doing this technique, as you can see, Kabal is able to pretty convincingly just machine gun his gas blast. If you can get this 100% of the time, it makes Kabal so much scarier. Because he can zone you out all day with it. He nullifies a lot of characters. And it doesn't stop him from doing like the rest of his toolkit, right? So he's zoning you all day. And then if you try and jump or something, he can do a nomad dash or whatever he wants. So again, I just wanted to show off the basics here of instant air projectiles. It's very important for these two, but there are other characters that might benefit from that as well. But for now, let's just focus on the two of these. The next technique I want to show is something called glitch jabs. Now, it's quite controversial. It always has been, but I'm kind of in the mindset of it's in the game and people use it, so it's worth learning yourself, because if people are doing this kind of thing, it's important to know how to either deal with it or execute it yourself, because if you don't know what it is, it looks a bit confusing. It could not be simpler. Essentially, while you're doing your high punch or low punch chains, if you hold block at just the right time while you're inputting it, and you can even do down back that you're holding while you're doing it, this means you are completely safe. I actually have Sub-Zero recorded doing this, and again, just to reiterate, if you look at my input history, while I'm doing the chain, I hold block, and that block that I pressed, I'm holding. You can block while you're executing these jab chains, and it makes you completely safe from pretty much anything. So this is all really, really simple. It can catch someone that's trying to jump in, for example. Let's say you're doing your jab chains and someone jumps, you know, if they jump at just the right time, you can anti-air them and do whatever it is that you want. You might be able to block something and punish it, but just to absolutely say it again, the input is to input your chains and you just hold block while you're inputting the chain. Done it successfully, you're able to block, and that sets up a whole new layer of what the game is doing. Not much to show here, to be honest with you, other than in competitive matches you see it all the time, and it's worth showing you how to do, because a lot of people you fight are likely going to be using that technique. Now, getting the opponent to block is a good way at like chipping away at them while they're doing glitch jabs on you. You know, Reptile's force balls, for example, keeping them blocking, doing chip. Instant air projectiles can be good at stopping people from just doing it all game. But we have to factor in it's a really good technique, and possibly in high level, one of the most important that you can learn. So I put it out here just so you can learn how to do it, practice it, you'll get the hang of it very quickly. The next thing I want to talk about is how characters in Trilogy can break some rules. Baraka has a variety of combo strings that cause a knockdown on the opponent, and they send them flying, so you can't really get much combos mid-screen. However, should Baraka put them in the corner, he's able to do the same sort of combo strings, but there is no pushback. Corners normally have a lot of pushback. If I uppercut the opponent, it pushes me back here, things are ended. This also applies to quite a few combo strings. In Baraka's case, who is a Trilogy exclusive character in this style of game, he is able to do his combo string and have absolutely no pushback whatsoever. This means you can combine it with other special moves that they too have no pushback, and he can get even more combo potential. So Baraka as a character has some insane damage tied to the corner, but he's actually breaking the rules. Let me show you some combos. For example, easy 90%. I mean, yeah, all I had to do was hit a few of those, and that's easy 65%. There's a lot more to it with characters like Baraka, but my point is, characters can often break the rules where there's normally pushback. Baraka won't have that kind of issue, and so do some of the other characters in the game. Overall, Mortal Kombat Trilogy plays similar to Ultimate MK3, but it's faster due to the game's performance, has more characters, and is a little bit more on the wild side because of it. I really do love this game, and it's my personal favourite in the collection. I've played a fair amount of the online on PC, and as long as you have good connection with the opponent, it seems to be fairly playable. If you just want to jump in, press some buttons, and have fun. Hopefully that continues when lobbies eventually get added to the mix. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and more importantly, I hope it helped you. Like I said in the intro, please let me know if you'd like me to do more of these for the other games. I do plan on doing so, but let me know what games you want to learn the most. My name is Ketchup, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.